If we explore the various titles, the various board gaming titles in my collection, it's easy to see a trend. Certainly, I'm a big fan of dungeon crawlers, a big fan of RPGs, a big fan of cooperative games. But one of the elements that they all involve is loot, magic items, pieces of tech. Examples ranging from Blackstone Fortress, Zombicide Invader, Zombicide Black Plague, Dark Souls, Pathfinder the Adventure card game. There's this idea where we play a character or an avatar on the table and we want to level up. Now, when I play solo board gaming, this isn't really a problem. Whether I'm playing one character or multiple characters across a party, I get to make that decision. But as soon as we add other players, and this leads to the vlog question of the day, how do we handle loot? And is this potentially a table flipper? Now, I think it depends a lot on the game, and I think it depends a lot on the people playing the game. Asking the fair question, are there expectations ahead of time? And making sure those expectations are kind of shared with all players. Now, personally, my perspective, this is like, Fritz rule number 2. Rule number 1 is everyone has a place at my table. If the game says it can only play 5 and someone else wants to play, then I'll give up my spot and I'll help run the game, or we'll just break the game and add another character. I mean, we've played Zombicide games with 10, 11, 12 actors. So we'll add on a couple of more spawn points and flip a few more cards. It might not be balanced, but let's create that fun. I am looking, yes, to win, but I'm also looking to have a good time. I want to create some memories. So from that perspective, I personally believe, and it's in a co-op game, loot should be shared. Loot should be optimized. Now, if we're going into something like a Game of Thrones type scenario where everyone's out for themselves and it's cutthroat, or a game like Talisman, yes, absolutely. If I get that good loot, I'm not giving it up. But if it's a co-op type game or an RPG type game or an exploration type game, and I get a piece of loot, magic items, whatever we want to call it, that would be better used by another player, then by all means, absolutely. Or if I get a piece of gear that you're really interested in because it's going to do some cool and interesting things, let's make it happen, because we're literally an adventuring party or a space exploring party in this game. Let's have some fun. Let's make it happen. But I understand people have different ideas and people can see their characters differently, and possibly understanding how to explore that loot ahead of time. An example from a game, I love Conan the board game. We're just going to stop right there. It's one of my favorite IPs, along with Aliens versus Predator. I'm not going to go much more into Conan because I'll just go on a side tangent. But I had brought it to play at the club. Very, very excited. Now, when I bring games to play at the club, these are usually pickup games, meaning I set the game up, whoever wants to play. And it's a great way to meet new friends and explore different things. There are times where I will bring a title and I know ahead of time where the players are going to sit down. I know who they are, good friends, but I like meeting new board gaming enthusiasts. So we sit down to play, and Conan is a one versus many type game. I do feel like I need to kind of dovetail into that, sidestep into that. One player plays the Overlord, or the Necromancer, so they control the minions and the bosses, and then each other player will control Conan and a certain character from the game. So we're playing Conan, and this one of the players is just running around picking up all the loot. Now, Conan's an interesting game because there's chests and there's items scattered about the battlefield. So if you are going to grab loot, it's real time. It's not like Descent or an RPG where we kick down the door, you beat up the monsters. Okay, it's the end of the encounter. You pause for a second. You have a moment. And what loot did we get? No, like Conan is, things are running around. Arrows are flying. Axes are swinging. And if you're literally running around grabbing and opening every single chest and taking that loot and not sharing the wealth, like, we're down one character. And this player was just like, I don't care about the game. I don't care about you as players. I don't even care if we win. I'm just going to go around and grab everything. So that's one scenario that I feel like ahead of time can be mitigated if you sit down as players in a co-op game and you say, hey, look, we're going in against the Overlord. And if there's any loot or if there's any items or tactics, yes, everyone is in charge of their own character. We're not going to kingmaker or micromanage it. But at the same time, it's like, we should have a little discussion when rounds come up or at the end of a turn where it's like, hey, what are we going to do? But that also kind of plays out sometimes where we were playing Zombicide Modern. We found the keys. We kicked down a lot of doors, got all the objectives. I'm not going to name any names. Kicked down the doors, got the objectives, found the keys, got to the car. And one of the players is like, I want to grab that last objective. And we're like, no, it's not campaign mode. Get in the car right now. We're out of here. We're done. The car is starting. It's like, we're leaving. We're leaving. Zombies everywhere, pouring out. And this player was like, no, I must go for all that loot. And we're like, if you don't get in this car right now, we are leaving you, bro. And we left him. And I don't feel bad about it because we warned him. We're like, we're leaving you. We're out of here. I mean, technically, you can't really do that in Zombicide. But from that perspective, sometimes a player will go a little bit off script. But it's not like they're trying to just go nuts. It's just they're like, I want to grab some of that loot. I think it is something that needs to be managed a little bit. But again, personally, the way I approach it is if I get some good draws and it can help your character, then yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't expect anything in return, but tactically, being a wargamer, that kind of makes sense. I want you to have the best items. If it's something cool or unique, then yeah, absolutely. Another example is if I draw a couple of loot cards and I've got 3 healing potions, I'm never going to pop 3. I'll pop 1, I'll keep 1, but let's get the other 2 to some other players because you never know what's going to happen in the dungeon and we can't pop 1 off or someone's a little bit far away and they don't have a healing surge. I think we need to think of things tactically from that perspective.